Hi guys and gals, my name is Thomas Hansen and I'm one of the magicians over at auth.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can create a backend without any coding requirements whatsoever. Now this of course might be beneficial if you're a React developer or a Swift developer or an Android developer or an Angular developer or something like that, and you don't want to mess around with your backend, but you still actually want the backend actually capable of persisting your data somehow. So here I am at auth.com, secret equals foo, at which point I'm asked for my backend name. I can give my backend a name. It can be tests. Click carriage return. Could of course choose a different location if I wanted to. Then I provide my name, username, polterguy1001, email address, polterguy1001@servergardens.com, password, and then you provide it with your password, and then you just click carriage return and you're actually done. Now all you got to do is actually to verify your email address, and this is how the email looks like. Make sure you look in your spam folder for the email in case you didn't receive it. Just click verify here, that's it, and you have a backend. And this actually automatically sets up your own server in our infrastructure at auth.com and creates your own fully fledged web server served over a unique URL subdomain, and automatically wires up everything for you. So at this point you already have a web API server. So this process might, of course, for obvious reasons, take a little bit of time, but typically it's done within a minute or something. And here you can see the URL to your server. Just click this thing here, and that opens up another window, at which point you can log in with the same username and password as you provided when you registered at auth.com. Just click login, and that's it. Now at this point, you can, if you want to, for instance, go to management, you can go to config, and you can add a connection string to your own database. Now typically as you do this, you will need the IP address of our backend to be able to whitelist it on your MySQL or PostgreSQL or SQL Server database. And you can find that IP address on the dashboard here in the top right corner here saying server IP. You can just click this guy and you've actually copied the IP address. So this allows you to whitelist your backend to actually connect to your database. And then also realize that as you create a connection string here, add connection string in the bottom right corner, you can choose between Microsoft SQL Server, MS SQL, you can choose between MySQL, and you can choose between PostgreSQL. And you can have any existing database you wish, really, and you can easily connect to it, and then you give your connection a name, foo, for instance, and then you paste in your connection string here. Your connection string typically looks something like this, foo.bar.mywebsite.com or something. Then it has a database section. This is crucial. It must look exactly like this, where it says database equal. Then it must have this exact right-hand side value. And then it of course must have the correct username and the correct password. This isn't actually a valid connection string, so I'm not going to even bother trying to test it. Because in this particular video, I'm going to show you how you can actually download one of the existing open source databases that we distribute Magic with out of the box. If you expand management, you choose plugins here, and then you click install on, for instance, SQLite Chinook DB, then this is actually going to install a database in your particular Magic backend. That happens to be an example database that illustrates albums and artists and songs and stuff like that, AC/DC, Rolling Stones, etc., allowing you to do queries into this particular database. So it's kind of like a database intended for managing songs or MP3s or things like that. So this will take some time because it downloads like several megabytes of data and actually creates a new database all the way from scratch for you. So now it has installed this database. I can go to SQL Studio. I can choose my database here, Chinook, and I can do select asterisk from function control space on a Mac or control space on Windows. It gives you autocomplete. Then you can choose artist, where. Let me do artist A, where A dot, name, like, and then a%, for instance. Hopefully that will yield some results. Yeah, here we see AC/DC, accept Aerosmith, Alanis Morissette, etc., etc. And at this point, you can either, load some of the example scripts that shows you how to, invoke SQL scripts towards this particular database. Or you can go to the CRUD generator, you can choose your database, I can click CRUDify all tables, and boom, you have a backend. And now you actually do have a complete HTTP Web API backend wrapping this particular database. And you can immediately go to Analytics, and then you can go to Endpoints, and then you can filter on Chinook, and you can actually start playing around with your HTTP Web API. Here I'm invoking it flat, just returning all records. If I do album title like a%, for instance here, it's only going to return albums whose names starts out with the character of A. If I do limit 2, then it's only going to return 2 records. If I do offset 5, then it's going to do offset 5. So it allows you to do paging and all of that beautiful stuff, filtering, ordering by title, either ascendingly or descendingly, etc., etc. So now if I'm an Angular developer, I can immediately actually start creating an Angular app wrapping this particular database. And I want to emphasize that Magic actually works with any database you might happen to have from before, assuming you are capable of somehow whitelisting your Magic backend using the server IP here towards your database, and you are capable of actually successfully connecting to your database here in management config using the add connection string thing down here in the bottom right corner. And it works towards MS SQL being SQL Server, MySQL being MySQL, PGSQL being PostgreSQL. So you can connect to any existing databases you might happen to have, and you can literally click a button to create a CRUD app. And if you're not happy with the default result that the CRUD generator gives you, then you can redo it again, choose overwrite, and you can configure tables individually. Let's say I want this table to be accessible for everyone to read from. Okay, now everybody can read from this table. If I want only root users to be able to create records, okay, now only root users can create records. If I want this one to have a reCAPTCHA value of 0.6, then now it has a reCAPTCHA and update invocations of 0.6. I can CRUDify album only. If I now go back to album, to analytics, I go to endpoints, and I find Chinook, and I find the album thing, and I invoke the get one. Then if I copy this full invocation URL and paste it into an incognito window, you will see I will actually be given albums back, even though I'm not authenticated. Why? Because we removed authorization requirements upon get invocations to this particular HTTP Web API endpoint. And here you can see how the system creates a unique root URL for you on a subdomain at daista.com, and how it creates a unique REST URL for retrieving and updating and deleting entities in your database 100% automatically for you. So, and of course the system also contains the ability to authenticate, allowing you to create authentication login and logout and stuff like that on iPhone clients or Android clients or in Angular apps, etc., where it asks you for username and password and things like that, and you can authenticate. That returns a JWT token that you can associate with future requests to be authenticated towards the backend. So that was it for today's video. There's a link in the description of this video to where you can the place where you can actually sign up for this and become one of our beta testers testing out the process. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.